Long, long ago, during an era when giants still roamed the earth, there reigned a mighty empress named Jokwa. She was the sister of Emperor Fuki, who, like her, towered over men at nearly 25 feet in height. In these ancient days, the world was filled with myth and magic, and Jokwa's rule was marked by strength, wisdom, and remarkable deeds. One of her greatest feats was mending a piece of the broken heavens and restoring one of the terrestrial pillars that supported the sky itself, both damaged during a fearsome rebellion. The rebellion was led by Kokai, a monstrous giant standing a full foot taller than even Jokwa. His skin was as black as iron, and his body was covered in bristling hair. Kokai was no ordinary man but a powerful and wicked wizard. When Jokwa's brother, Emperor Fuki, passed away, Kokai sought to seize the throne for himself. His ambitions, however, were thwarted when Jokwa ascended to power. Enraged by his failure, Kokai unleashed his wrath upon the empire, raising a revolt that threatened to tear the world apart. In his first act of defiance, Kokai summoned the Water Devil, a malevolent force that brought great floods sweeping across the land. Entire villages were submerged, and the people despaired as their homes and fields were drowned beneath the rising waters. When Empress Jokwa saw the suffering of her people and realized the destruction Kokai had caused, she swore to end his rebellion and restore peace to the empire. Among her loyal followers were two young warriors, Heiko and Eiko, each skilled and brave. Jokwa appointed Heiko as general of the front forces, and with great pride, he prepared to lead the charge against Kokai. As he mounted his fiery red horse, ready to depart, he heard the thunder of hooves behind him. Turning, he saw Eiko, his comrade, riding toward him on a white steed, sword drawn. "Heiko, halt!" Eiko shouted. "The honor of leading the front forces should belong to me." Heiko's pride flared like a spark catching fire. "Insolent! I was chosen by the Empress herself. Do you dare challenge her decision?" Eiko's eyes flashed with defiance. "It is I who should lead the army. You are the one who should follow." Furious, Heiko lunged at Eiko with his lance, but Eiko was swift, and with a single motion, he dodged the blow and struck the head of Heiko's horse, forcing the animal to rear and throwing Heiko to the ground. Before Heiko could react, Eiko swiftly tore the badge of command from Heiko's chest and rode away. The Empress had witnessed the entire confrontation, and although she admired Eiko's daring, she could not allow such rivalry to divide her forces. To maintain peace between her two most promising warriors, Jokwa decided to make them both generals. Heiko would command the left wing, and Eiko the right, and with an army of 100,000 soldiers, they marched toward Kokai's stronghold. When they reached Kokai's castle, the wizard stood at its gates, sneering at the sight of the approaching army. "Two children," he laughed. "I shall blow them away with a single breath." Armed with a massive iron rod, Kokai charged toward Heiko and Eiko like a raging storm. The two warriors, one with lance and the other with sword, attacked from both sides. But Kokai was a force of nature. His iron rod whirled through the air like a cyclone, deflecting every strike. The battle raged for hours, neither side gaining ground. In the heat of combat, Heiko's horse stumbled on a stone, throwing its rider to the ground. Kokai, seeing his chance, raised his three-edged sword to strike down the fallen general. But before the blow could land, Eiko rode between them, challenging the wizard to fight him instead. Kokai, tired from the long battle, and not eager to face another fresh opponent, fled. Heiko, only stunned, rose quickly to his feet, and together, the two warriors pursued the retreating Kokai. As they closed in on him, Kokai turned and drew an arrow from his quiver. With a swift movement, he loosed it at Eiko, but the warrior dodged the shaft just in time. The arrow glanced off his helmet and fell harmlessly against Heiko's armor. Realizing that his enemies were unharmed and fast approaching, Kokai resorted to his dark magic. He stretched out his wand, and at once, a mighty flood surged from the earth. The waters rose with terrifying speed, sweeping Jokwa's army away like leaves on the wind. Heiko and Eiko, now neck deep in the flood, struggled against the current as Kokai advanced upon them. Just when all seemed lost, an island rose from the depths of the water, and on its shore stood an old man with hair as white as snow. He smiled kindly, and with a nod, stepped to the edge of the water. The moment his feet touched the flood, the waters parted, revealing a dry path to safety. Kokai, enraged, charged toward the old man. But as he drew near, the elder laughed and transformed into a magnificent white crane. With the powerful beat of his wings, the bird soared into the heavens, leaving the wizard stunned. That night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the two generals realized that they could not defeat Kokai with strength alone. He wielded powers beyond their mortal abilities. They returned to Empress Jokwa and together devised a new plan. The Empress decided to seek aid from the Fire King Shikuyu, a giant who ruled over flames. Living at the South Pole, where only ice could withstand his fiery might, Shikuyu was a towering figure of 30 feet, with a face carved from marble and hair as white as the snow surrounding him. His power over fire would be the key to overcoming Kokai's mastery of water. Thus, the stage was set for an epic clash between the forces of fire and water, with the fate of the empire hanging in the balance. Confident in the Fire King's prowess, Empress Jokwa dispatched Eiko to the South Pole to request Shikuyu's aid in defeating the wicked Kokai. Eiko journeyed through treacherous lands to reach Shikuyu, who, upon hearing the Empress's plea, responded with a smile of recognition. "That is a matter of little difficulty," Shikuyu said with a reassuring tone. "It was I who intervened to save you and your comrade from the flood that Kokai had unleashed." Eiko was astonished and deeply grateful. He expressed his thanks and earnestly urged Shikuyu to return with him to lead the battle against Kokai. Shikuyu agreed, and the two set off for the Empress's court. Upon their arrival, the Empress welcomed Shikuyu with great honor and explained the gravity of the situation. She implored him to become the generalissimo of her forces. Shikuyu's response was filled with confidence. "Do not worry, Empress. I shall certainly defeat Kokai," he assured. Shikuyu took command of 30,000 soldiers, and, with Heiko and Eiko leading the way, they marched towards Kokai's fortress. Shikuyu was aware of the wizard's powers and had devised a cunning plan. He instructed his soldiers to gather a special shrub, which was then burned to produce a significant quantity of ashes. Each soldier filled a bag with these ashes. Kokai, in his arrogance, underestimated Shikuyu's abilities. "Even though you are the Fire King, I will extinguish you as easily as I did before," he sneered. The wizard cast another powerful incantation, summoning floods that surged as high as mountains. Unfazed, Shikuyu commanded his soldiers to scatter the ashes across the floodwaters. The ashes mixed with the water to create a thick, stubborn mud that rendered the flood harmless and allowed the soldiers to remain safe. Witnessing the Fire King's superior wisdom, Kokai was consumed by rage. He charged at the enemy forces with reckless abandon. Eiko met him in combat, and for a time, the two were evenly matched. Observing that Eiko was growing weary, Heiko stepped in to take his place. Kokai, exhausted and unable to contend with Heiko's fresh vigor, tried to deceive him. "You are too noble to risk your life for your friend. I will not harm such a good man," Kokai said, feigning a retreat. Shikuyu, however, saw through Kokai's deceit. "You are a coward," he declared. "You cannot fool me." He signaled Heiko to attack, and the battle resumed with renewed ferocity. Kokai, already weary, was soon wounded in the shoulder. Desperate and in pain, he broke from the fight and tried to escape. Meanwhile, Shikuyu ordered Jokwa's army to charge. They overwhelmed Kokai's forces, and the wizard barely escaped with his life. In his final, frantic attempt, Kokai summoned the water devil again, but Shikuyu countered the spell effortlessly. Mad with pain and frustration, Kokai dashed his head against the rocks of Mount Shu, where he met his end. The destruction wrought by Kokai's fall was immense. The force of his impact shattered the mountain, and flames erupted violently. One of the celestial pillars supporting the heavens was broken, causing a section of the sky to sag down towards the earth. Shikuyu retrieved Kokai's body and presented it to Empress Jokwa, who was relieved and grateful for the victory. She honored Shikuyu with lavish rewards, but the celebration was short-lived. The eruption had caused widespread devastation. Villages were destroyed, rice fields burned, and rivers filled with molten lava. The land was plunged into darkness as the sun and moon were unable to traverse their paths. Determined to rectify the situation, Jokwa set out to restore balance. She instructed her subjects to collect stones of 5 colors: blue, yellow, red, white, and black. These stones were boiled with the special porcelain to create a vibrant paste. With this paste, Jokwa set about repairing the sky. Riding on clouds, she ascended to the heavens and applied the paste to the broken sky, mending the celestial tear. Next, she fixed the damaged pillar using the legs of a large tortoise. When she descended to earth, she found that while the repairs had been successful, the world remained in darkness. Perplexed, Jokwa convened a council of wise men. They informed her that the roads of heaven had been damaged, preventing the sun and moon from completing their celestial journeys. They suggested sending ambassadors to inform the sun and moon that the roads had been restored. Jokwa provided her ambassadors with magical chariots capable of traveling 1,000 miles per minute. They soared through the air and, after many days, reached the realm of the sun and moon. The ambassadors explained the situation and assured the celestial rulers that the roads were now repaired and the pillar restored. The sun and moon, initially hesitant, were convinced and resumed their journeys, bringing light back to the world. The people of China rejoiced as light returned, and peace and prosperity were restored under the wise reign of Empress Jokwa. The tale of her courage and wisdom became legend, ensuring her place in the annals of history. The moral of the story is that true wisdom and leadership come from understanding and overcoming challenges with both courage and intelligence. Empress Jokwa's ability to address the immense problems caused by Kokai's rebellion and her resourcefulness in repairing the damage to the heavens demonstrate that with determination, strategic thinking, and the right support, even the greatest obstacles can be overcome. Additionally, the story highlights the importance of unity and collaboration, as the combined efforts of Jokwa, Shikuyu, and her generals ultimately restored balance and prosperity to the kingdom.